Kurt Sutter's involvement ensured that Redwood Original remained faithful to the television series lore, although not faithful to what we wanted. However, Ollie Masters collaborated closely with Sutter, submitting scripts and character designs for approval to maintain consistency with established canon. This collaboration extended to characters' nuances such as Jim's manipulative charm and Clay's authoritarian demeanor, ensuring their younger depictions align with their television counterparts. Sutter's oversight lent the Sutter's oversight lent the comic a sense of authenticity, bridging gaps in the Sam Crow timeline without contradicting existing narratives. I will say that there isn't much in these 3 volumes that really stands out to me, like a mischaracterization or something weird that happens in the timeline. So I'm okay with that. It's not too hard, I'm sure, to tell like a prequel, but still, you definitely want to put some stuff out there. You'd be like, you don't want to see stuff where Jax would do something completely out of line or whatever. Redwood Original complements Boom Studios' earlier Sons of Anarchy comics, which explore storylines concurrent with the television series. By focusing on a prequel narrative, the comic franchise deepens the mythology of Sam Crow, offering fans new insights into character motivations, and historical events referenced in the show. For instance, the comic's depiction of Jax's early clashes with Kay foreshadows their eventual rivalry, while Opie's ambivalence toward the club hints at his later struggles with loyalty. All right. Synopsis for 5 through 8. Jax Teller. He's drifting. Exiled from Sam Crow, weighed down by his father's legacy and his own reckless mistakes, he spends his days drowning in liquor and regrets. But the world isn't waiting for him to figure himself out.
Don't forget the dildos.
And dildos. Could you imagine?
I'm drowning in dildos.
That's this drunk, poor guy. But the world.
I need to feel something.
But the world isn't waiting for him to figure himself out. The club is under fire, and a ghost without a club tie is making moves against them. Clay, desperate to keep control, scrambles to offload the drugs that have put them in danger, striking a tense deal with Leroy Wayne of the 1-9ers. But Leroy smells desperation and turns the screws, leaving Clay fuming. Meanwhile, Jax, drunken, defiant, stumbles onto a new mystery, the identity of the freelancer gunning for Sam Crow. Determined to prove himself, he takes matters into his own hands, tracking down the enforcer and launching a brutal attack. But the man is no easy prey, and Jax barely escapes with his life. As he staggers from the scene, he knows one thing: he's going to finish what he started. While Jax wages his own war, the Sons come under siege. That same man opens fire with a sniper rifle on Clay and his crew, pinning them down inside a fast food joint. The attack is coordinated, precise. Whoever this guy is, he is not just some hired thug. In the chaos, Clay fights his way out, but the ambush leaves them rattled. Back at the clubhouse, Jax finally returns, beaten but determined, and lays a duffel bag of stolen guns on the table, proof that he's still a son at heart. Clay, initially ready to shut him down again, sees something different this time. Jax tracked down their enemy, bled for the club, and risked everything to fix his mistakes. Begrudgingly, Clay gave him another shot, offering him his prospect cut back. But Jax has one condition: Opie prospects with him. Clay agrees, knowing it'll be a fight to get Piney on board, but for now, the club is whole again. With a fragile peace settling over Sam Crow, Clay sets up his final play. In a move of ruthless strategy, he orchestrates a way to sell the drugs to the 1-9ers, then leaks the location to their enemy, allowing them to steal the product back. The enforcer gets what he wants. Sam Crow saves face, and Clay closes the book on this nightmare without ever looking weak. That's a big thing about Clay. It's a classic Clay move, brutal, efficient, and entirely self-serving. Meanwhile, Jax and the rest of the club ride into the city for a hard-earned night of celebration. The firelight flickers, drinks are poured, and Jax is officially back. But as Clay steps away to take a call from their old adversary, his unreadable expression says it all. The war may be over, but the road ahead is still paved in blood. Just when it seems like things are settling, violence comes crashing back in. A white van screeches into the clubhouse lot, tires spitting dirt as masked figures spill out. Bats swing, fists fly, it's an ambush. In the chaos, Jax is overpowered, dragged, kicking and screaming into the van, his struggle swallowed by the roar of the engine as it speeds into the night. Clay, battered on the ground, lifts his head in time to see his surrogate son ripped away from him. The night air is thick with stunned silence. But everyone knows Jax Teller's fight is far from over. There we go. That is a synopsis for the ages of 5 through 8. Our second volume here. Sons of Anarchy.
Classic Jax.
Classic.
Like, well, I'm all the way on the outs. I have to prove myself. So it's Jax is one of those like, I'll fight, I'll fight everybody. Jax will go into a bar and just stand there against like a dozen Marines and be like, I'll take y'all on, and gets his ass beat. But he fearless to the point of stupidity.
Mm-hmm.
And so he goes. So he wants to prove himself to Clay. So he goes after Trenchcoat McGee, and he gets him. And he comes out a little worse for wear. But the guy got a couple of good licks too.
Right.
And I need to talk about the Clay and the one-niners thing, because like your synopsis there is good, but I think what needs to be said is the lack of foresight Clay has. The one-niners are legion. There's so many of them.
There's a lot.
And Sam Crow, by comparison, is so small. They're tiny, almost ineffectual. The reason why they kind of just stick to guns and they stick to charming is it's a small little island that they can defend. If Sam Crow actually decided they were going to expand into like Oakland or whatever, and take on the one-niners, they'd be dead.
Yeah.
There's like 20 one-niners to every one Sam Crow guy. And here's the thing, it was, if you'll remember from the series, Bobby saying to Jax, like, we exist because we have tenuous partnerships with different organizations. When you start shifting the balance, you put those relationships at risk. Everyone else is going to survive this. Sam Crow is going to get crushed. We are small players in a very large and cutthroat world.
Right.
And Clay never acknowledges that.
Right.
Clay always thinks that Sam Crow's bite is bigger than it actually is, bigger than its bark.
Right.
And so when he's sitting there and he's like, let me set up the one-niners to get blown away by this other group so that we can get away with having sold the drugs and get the drugs back to their rightful owner, and it'll just cost us some one-niners. Who cares? It's like, you don't think the one-niners are going to figure that out and come at you with their legions? Are you nuts? And the answer is yes.
What's the word for somebody that wants to, they'll do just about anything they can so they don't look like they lost face? Because I think that's what Clay... Last time, I expect you to inject some professional actual commentary here, because I know what you do for a living. It's not narcissism, is it? I mean,
it can be, yeah.
Okay. I mean,
that was what I was going to say before I decided to be cheeky.
Well, that's what Clay is, though. He found himself into a corner, and in order for him to get himself out, there's always got to be something that, so they don't know that he was backed into a corner. He's he's the one with the upper hand, and now everything looks good. It doesn't come back on him, and he isn't taking the shot for it. That's Clay. That's how he does things. So my notes here start out with, we open this book with Jax staying at Piney and Opie's, and it's not a good scene. Piney's getting tired of him being there. Not only that, but he goes in while Jax is drunk and passed out. There's a nudie mag on the floor and a crumpled up white piece of paper. And I'm like, dude, did you legitimately do that at Piney's on the couch and just leave your remnants there on the floor?
And the muse strikes Jesse. Come on now.
Shouldn't be striking at other people's house in the living room. Okay? There's a bathroom.
I can't help when I need to get shit done. You judgmental thing. You.
I don't blame Piney for wanting him out. Piney's like, this guy's been here. Obviously, Jackson doesn't want to go back to the clubhouse because of what's going on between him and Clay. But regardless, or he doesn't want to go back home. Anyway, Yeah, this volume I think furthers Gemma's dog stealing plot against the one guy.
Yeah.
Jack's taking matter into his hands. We talked about that, about getting into his good graces. There is issue 6. Okay, so did you notice how like the dialogue took a backseat to the action in this volume? Like I think it was issue 6 where we get no words. Like it's just the fight in the food joint. It starts here and it continues where we just get issue of just action. It's just drawn. We don't have a whole lot of dialogue.
I was mentioning to my girlfriend earlier, this was a much easier read than She-Hulk. Like She-Hulk, I started this at like 7 a.m, and I think I was done by 10, maybe even earlier. And like I remember She-Hulk took me hours to read. It was 12 issues. It was the same as this one. But for whatever reason, it was a denser book than this one. Like this one, it's not big on dialogue, thank God.
Yeah,
and
it's
a lot of show don't tell. It's not a talky book.
Right. It doesn't need to be. It doesn't need to. And I think that I will absolutely give props to Ollie Masters if he's the one that decided, okay, you know what? This is a show don't tell. Let's go ahead and this is what people come to watch the show for. They will enjoy this comic because it's going to feel a lot like the show. And that's kind of what I got. I love the whole fast food joint sequence where they're in there and it's a battle back and forth between, I think it's Chibs, Clay, and Tig. And Tig gets the bright idea of throwing the fire extinguisher up in the air and them shooting it. And I loved it. I thought it was great. I can tell you that I have no complaints about them dialing the dialogue back. And like I said, that continues throughout the end of the series. But issue 6, I think, is the first time we get to see that. I think that's happening during when Jax confronts. I'm calling him the dreaded Satanist.
Okay.
He's got an upside down cross on his jacket, and he's got dreads. So he's the dreaded Satanist. And that he's soon to be in the WWE pretty soon. He's right now in developmental.
Sure.
Okay, what else do we got? Oh, Jax barely makes it out alive. Didn't put this in the synopsis, but when he goes back home and Jonesy is sitting there waiting on him, I was like, oh, this is good. And again, consequences. You know, Jax just didn't fire that gun and then Jonesy go off into nowhere. He comes back, which I thought was great. I like that sequence where he comes back. Granted, not much happens other than Jax is just like, damn, I'm sorry, man. I'm really sorry. And there's a lot of discussion about how, like, do you know what you did to me when you did that? Like we were friends and you, I can't get to sleep because I want to kill you. You know, it's traumatizing. It's really, I love how they actually kind of address that bit of trauma that Jonesy has just from that one small interaction that this kid has with a prospect of the club.
Right.
And Jax is very, I think at the end of the last volume, I mean, he's embracing the violence. He beats the shit out of that trucker.
Well, their whole philosophy where they're coming from is if I join, and here's the thing, I can kind of see the logic behind it because why do people join? Why do people form groups?
Right.
Because a group is stronger than the single person. You know, why do people join gangs? Because they are scared, they are unprotected, and they feel like being a part of a gang, one, gives them a sense of identity, especially with one who struggles with their own sense of identity. At least I'm part of this bigger thing.
Yeah.
But also, they feel like a gang will protect them from other gangs, by the way. You know, from whether it's the cops or other criminal organizations or whatever. So then the next step in the evolution of that thinking is, well, if I'm a part of this gang and this gang will always protect me, then there are no consequences for my behavior and I can act like an idiot. I talk about this all the time. Like, consequential thinking is what dictates your behavior. If you understand that whatever it is you're going to do will end in a consequence, then you have to measure whether or not you can accept that consequence, if you can absorb it, or if you want to avoid it altogether, and that'll dictate your behavior. And when you don't feel like there are any consequences to what you're doing, you're going to do all kinds of crazy shit.
Right.
The short-sightedness of which is the fallibility of the invincibility of this fucking gang. You think Sons of Anarchy is this badass, invincible biker gang that can get away with all kinds of shit. Turns out it can't.
Right.
And that's what we're going to learn at the end of this book is that because, Jax fucked around and he got kidnapped for it.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think at the end of this volume, it's a great cliffhanger ending. Jax is thrown into, this would be a mid-season finale of the show. He'd be thrown into a van, and then we got to wait another 12 weeks to pick up the rest of the season.
Let's compare it to what happens to Gemma with the Nazis.
Oh yeah.
Because Gemma's another one whose identity is entirely 100% wrapped up in this. It's wrapped up in two things. It's wrapped up in being a mom. She knows no other life than being a mother. And she knows no other life than being in a biker gang.
Mm-hmm.
It's 50-50. And she acts accordingly. It's like everything to maintain her position of matriarch and everything to maintain this biker gang. And it gets her raped for it.
Mm-hmm.
And why did she was a soft target. She walked around cock of the walk thinking, well, who's going to attack the queen of this biker gang? And then there's old Henry Rollins,
Yep.
And in the van she went. When you mentioned the van, it was like, isn't that how they got Gemma?
They tricked her. Come out there, my baby's choking.
Right. Yeah, they jumped her and they chained her up, and that was that.
Yeah.
And it was, if you'll remember, they didn't just rape her because we are a bunch of sexual deviants. It was, we want to damage this gang in a way that will last. So they do it by sexually assaulting this woman, because it's a reminder they can't. It's a reminder that they can't protect the people that they say they can, which flies in the face of what this gang is supposed to be for.
Mm-hmm.
You join this gang for protection. They couldn't even protect Gemma.